Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens, Chapter 1. A Boy Without a Home. In a small town in England, a baby boy was born in a workhouse, a place where poor people worked long hours for very little food. The boy's mother was weak and sick, and she died soon after giving birth. No one knew her name or where she came from. The baby was left alone, without a family or a home. The kind doctor who helped deliver the baby felt sorry for him. "This child needs care," he said to the workers at the workhouse. "What shall we call him?" one of the women suggested. "Let's name him Oliver Twist." And so, Oliver Twist began his life. From the very start, things were hard for him. The workhouse was a cold and cruel place. The children there were always hungry. They worked all day and received only a small bowl of thin soup to eat. If they complained, they were punished severely. When Oliver turned 9 years old, he became brave enough, or perhaps desperate enough, to ask for more food. One evening, after finishing their meager meal, Oliver stood up and said timidly, "Please, sir, I want some more." The room fell silent. Everyone stared at him in shock. Asking for more food was unheard of in the workhouse. The master of the workhouse turned red with anger. "What did you say?" he shouted. I'm still hungry," Oliver stammered. "Please, can I have more?" The master grabbed Oliver by the arm and dragged him out of the dining hall. "You ungrateful child," he yelled. "You will be punished for this." From that day on, Oliver's life became even harder. He was treated like a troublemaker and sent to do the hardest jobs. The other children avoided him, afraid they would get into trouble too. But Oliver didn't mean any harm. He was just a boy who wanted enough to eat. Eventually, the workhouse decided they didn't want Oliver anymore. They sent him to live with an undertaker named Mr. Sowerberry. Undertakers are people who prepare bodies for funerals, and Mr. Sowerberry thought Oliver could help with his work. At first, Oliver hoped his new life would be better, but sadly, it wasn't. Mr. Sowerberry and his wife were cruel to Oliver. They made him sleep in a dark, damp room and gave him scraps of food. Their apprentice, Noah Claypole, teased Oliver constantly. One day, Noah insulted Oliver's dead mother, calling her names and saying terrible things about her. Oliver couldn't take it anymore. He fought back, hitting Noah and yelling, "Don't talk about my mother like that!" Noah ran to Mrs. Sowerberry, crying and telling lies about what happened. The Sowerberrys were furious. They beat Oliver and locked him in the coal cellar as punishment. That night, Oliver made a decision. He couldn't stay in such a cruel place any longer. Quietly, he packed a few belongings and slipped out of the house while everyone was asleep. For the first time in his life, Oliver was free, but he had no idea where to go. He walked for miles, heading toward London, a city he had heard about from the other boys at the workhouse. They said it was big and full of opportunities. Maybe, just maybe, Oliver could find a better life there. As he walked, Oliver felt both scared and hopeful. He had never been outside the town before, and the road ahead seemed endless. Would London bring him safety or more danger? Chapter 2. The Road to London. Oliver walked for days, his feet sore and his stomach empty. He had never been so tired in his life, but he kept moving forward. Every step brought him closer to London, and perhaps a chance at a better life. As he traveled, Oliver met a few kind people along the way. One woman gave him a piece of bread when she saw how hungry he was. Another man let him rest in a barn for the night. These small acts of kindness gave Oliver hope, even though the road was hard. Finally, after many long miles, Oliver arrived at the edge of London. The city was enormous, with tall buildings, crowded streets, and carts rumbling everywhere. People hurried past him, too busy to notice the thin, dirty boy standing wide-eyed at the sight of it all. "This must be the place," Oliver whispered to himself. "But where do I go now?" He wandered through the streets, feeling lost and overwhelmed. The noise and chaos were unlike anything he had ever experienced. Just as he began to feel hopeless, a boy about his age approached him. The boy was cheerful and dressed in worn but colorful clothes. "Hello there," the boy said with a grin. "You look like you could use some help." Oliver nodded shyly. "I'm looking for somewhere to stay," he admitted. "Do you know of a place?" The boy laughed. "Of course I do. Follow me. I'll take you to someone who can help." The boy introduced himself as Jack Dawkins, though everyone called him the Artful Dodger. He led Oliver through narrow alleys and bustling markets until they reached a run-down house. Inside, an old man sat by the fire, smoking a pipe. "This is Fagin," the Dodger explained. "He takes care of us boys." Fagin looked Oliver up and down, studying him closely. "Who's this?" he asked, his voice smooth and curious. "This is Oliver," the Dodger replied. "He needs a place to stay." Fagin smiled warmly, or at least it seemed warm at first. "Welcome, my dear boy," he said. "You're safe here. We'll teach you how to make a living." Oliver didn't fully understand what Fagin meant, but he was grateful to have shelter and food. That night, he slept on a straw mattress in a corner of the room, surrounded by other boys. For the first time in weeks, his belly was full, and he felt safe. The next morning, Fagin gathered the boys around him. "Now then," he said, pulling out a box filled with shiny watches, handkerchiefs, and jewelry. "Let's see if our new friend Oliver can learn a trick or two." The Dodger handed Oliver a handkerchief and showed him how to pickpocket, a way of stealing without being noticed. Oliver watched nervously, unsure of what to do. He didn't want to steal, but he also didn't want to anger Fagin or the others. Later that day, the Dodger took Oliver into the streets to practice. They followed a wealthy-looking man, and the Dodger expertly slipped a wallet from his pocket. Then he nudged Oliver. "Your turn," he whispered. Oliver hesitated. He didn't want to hurt anyone or take something that wasn't his. But before he could decide, the man turned suddenly and grabbed Oliver's arm. "Thief!" the man shouted. A crowd quickly gathered, pointing and shouting at Oliver. The Dodger disappeared into the crowd, leaving Oliver alone. Terrified, Oliver tried to explain, but no one listened. A police officer arrived and dragged him away. At the courthouse, Oliver stood trembling before a judge. Just as it seemed like he would be punished, a kind gentleman named Mr. Brownlow stepped forward. He had witnessed the scene and believed Oliver was innocent. "He's just a child," Mr. Brownlow said firmly. "Look at him. He's frightened and confused. Surely he doesn't deserve this." The judge agreed, and Oliver was released into Mr. Brownlow's care. Grateful for the man's kindness, Oliver went home with him, hoping this might finally be the start of a better life. But unknown to Oliver, Fagin and his gang weren't ready to let him go. They had plans for him, plans that would soon bring danger back into his life. What would happen next? Would Oliver find safety with Mr. Brownlow, or would Fagin's gang catch up to him? Chapter 3. A Kind Heart. After his frightening encounter in the streets, Oliver found himself in the care of Mr. Brownlow, a kind and gentle man who lived in a quiet part of London. Mr. Brownlow's home was warm and welcoming, filled with books and soft furniture. For the first time in his life, Oliver felt truly safe. Mr. Brownlow had a housekeeper named Mrs. Bedwin, an elderly woman with a sweet smile and a motherly nature. She took care of Oliver, feeding him hearty meals and making sure he rested properly. "You poor child," she said often, patting his head. "You've been through so much." Oliver was grateful for their kindness. He wanted to repay them somehow, but he didn't know how. One day Mr. Brownlow called him into the study. "Oliver," he said kindly, "I'd like you to help me around the house. Would you be willing to run errands or assist with small tasks?" Oliver nodded eagerly. "Yes, sir, I would love to help." From that day on, Oliver worked hard to earn Mr. Brownlow's trust. He delivered letters, cleaned books, and even helped Mrs. Bedwin with household chores. In return, Mr. Brownlow taught him how to read and write. For Oliver, this was a dream come true. He had never imagined he could learn such things. As the days passed, Oliver began to feel like part of the family. But far away, Fagin and his gang were growing restless. They hadn't forgotten about Oliver, or the fact that he knew their secrets. One evening, the artful Dodger and another boy named Charlie Bates sneaked into Mr. Brownlow's neighborhood to spy on Oliver. When they saw how happy he looked, they returned to Fagin and reported what they had seen. "He's living with a rich man now," the Dodger said. "If we don't bring him back, he might tell someone about us." Fagin frowned. "We can't let that happen," he muttered. "Send Nancy to fetch him. She'll know what to do." Nancy was a young woman who sometimes worked with Fagin's gang, though she wasn't as cruel as the others. She cared for Oliver in her own way, and didn't want to see him hurt. Still, she obeyed Fagin's orders and set out to find Oliver. Next morning, while Oliver was running an errand for Mr. Brownlow, Nancy approached him on the street. "Oliver!" she called softly. "Come with me. I need to talk to you." Oliver recognized her from Fagin's house and hesitated. "What do you want?" he asked nervously. "It's important," Nancy insisted. "Please, just come with me for a moment." Reluctantly, Oliver followed her to a nearby alley. There he saw Bill Sykes, a violent and dangerous man who worked with Fagin. Bill grabbed Oliver roughly and tied his hands. "You're coming back." "With us," he growled. Oliver struggled and cried out, but no one heard him. Nancy watched silently, her heart heavy with guilt. She hated seeing Oliver treated this way, but she feared what Bill and Fagin would do if she tried to stop them. They dragged Oliver back to Fagin's hideout, where the old man greeted him with a sinister smile. "Welcome back, my dear boy," Fagin said. "Did you think you could leave us so easily?" Oliver shook his head, tears streaming down his face. "Please let me go," he begged. "I won't tell anyone, I promise." But Fagin didn't believe him. "You'll stay here until we decide what to do with you," he said coldly. For days, Oliver was kept locked inside the dark, dirty room. The other boys avoided him, afraid of Bill's temper. Nancy visited him whenever she could, bringing him food and whispering words of comfort. "Don't lose hope," she told him. "I'll find a way to help you." Meanwhile, Mr. Brownlow grew worried when Oliver didn't return. He searched everywhere, asking neighbors and posting notices around town. But no one had seen the boy. Back at Fagin's, Nancy made a bold decision. Late one night, she snuck out of the house and went to find Mr. Brownlow. She knocked on his door, trembling with fear but determined to do the right thing. "Please," she said when Mr. Brownlow answered. "I know where Oliver is. You must save him before it's too late." Mr. Brownlow listened carefully as Nancy explained everything. By the time she finished, he was already preparing to act. "Thank you for your bravery," he said. "We'll get Oliver back, I promise." Nancy nodded, tears in her eyes. "Be careful," she warned. "Fagin and Bill are dangerous." With Nancy's help, Mr. Brownlow devised a plan to rescue Oliver, but would they reach him in time? And what would happen if Fagin discovered Nancy's betrayal? Chapter 4. The Rescue. The next morning, Mr. Brownlow wasted no time. He gathered a group of trusted friends, including a kind doctor named Mr. Losberne, to help him rescue Oliver. Nancy had told them exactly where Fagin's hideout was. A rundown house in a dark part of London. She warned them that Bill Sikes would be there too, and he was not someone to take lightly. "We must move quickly," Mr. Brownlow said firmly. "Oliver is in danger." As they prepared for the rescue, Nancy stayed behind to keep watch over Oliver. She knew that if Fagin or Bill found out she had betrayed them, her life would be in grave danger. But she didn't care. She couldn't stand by while an innocent boy suffered. That evening, Nancy slipped into the room where Oliver was being held. "Listen carefully," she whispered. "Help is coming. You must be ready to leave as soon as you hear a signal." Oliver looked at her with wide eyes. "Who's coming?" he asked softly. "Mr. Brownlow," Nancy replied. "He hasn't forgotten about you." Tears filled Oliver's eyes. "Thank you," he said. "You're risking so much for me." Nancy smiled sadly. "Someone has to do the right thing," she said. "Now stay quiet and trust me." Meanwhile, Mr. Brownlow and his friends approached Fagin's hideout under the cover of darkness. They moved silently through the narrow alleys, avoiding attention. When they reached the house, they waited for the signal from Nancy. A single candle lit in the upstairs window. Inside, Nancy quietly lit the candle and placed it on the windowsill. Then she hurried back to Oliver's room, her heart pounding. Moments later, Mr. Brownlow saw the light and nodded to his companions. "It's time," he said. They entered the house cautiously, careful not to make a sound. Inside, all was quiet except for the faint snoring of Fagin and the other boys, who were fast asleep. Bill Sikes, however, was awake, sitting by the fire, with a knife in his hand. He sensed something was wrong. "What's that noise?" he growled, standing up. Before he could investigate further, Mr. Brownlow and his friends burst into the room. "Stay where you are," Mr. Brownlow commanded. Bill lunged at them, but Mr. Losberne stepped forward and struck him with a heavy stick, knocking him unconscious. Fagin woke up screaming, but he was quickly subdued. The other boys scattered in fear, leaving the adults, free to focus on finding Oliver. Nancy led them to the hidden room where Oliver was being kept. When the door opened, Oliver rushed into Mr. Brownlow's arms, sobbing with relief. "I thought I'd never see you again," he cried. "You're safe now," Mr. Brownlow assured him. "Let's get you home." As they left the house, Nancy lingered behind, watching them go. She wanted to escape too, but she knew it was impossible. If she ran, Fagin and Bill would hunt her down. Her only hope was that they never discovered her role in the rescue. Back at Mr. Brownlow's house, Oliver was given fresh clothes, warm food, and a soft bed to sleep in. For the first time in days, he felt truly safe. But Mr. Brownlow couldn't shake the feeling that their troubles weren't over yet. The next day, news spread through London about the raid on Fagin's hideout. Some people praised Mr. Brownlow for his bravery, while others whispered about the criminal's anger. Bill Sikes, now free after escaping arrest, vowed revenge against anyone involved in the rescue, including Nancy. Unaware of the danger looming over her, Nancy continued to live among the gang, pretending nothing had changed. She hoped that one day she might find a way to escape, but for now, she focused on staying alive. What would happen when Bill discovered Nancy's betrayal, and how long could she hide her secret before it caught up with her? Chapter 5. Nancy's Sacrifice. The days following Oliver's rescue were calm at Mr. Brownlow's house, but far away in the dark alleys of London, trouble was brewing. Bill Sikes had returned to Fagin's hideout, furious about the raid. He paced back and forth, his face red with anger. "Someone betrayed us," he growled, "and I'll find out who." Fagin, who was equally upset, tried to calm him down. "Patience, my boy," he said. "We'll figure this out, but first we need to be careful. There are too many eyes watching us now." Meanwhile, Nancy lived in constant fear. She knew it was only a matter of time before Bill or Fagin discovered her role in helping Oliver escape. Still, she refused to regret her decision. "I did the right thing," she told herself every night. "Oliver deserves a better life." One evening, as Nancy walked through the streets, she noticed someone following her. It was one of Fagin's boys, a sly young thief named Noah Claypole. He sneered at her. "Fagin wants to see you," he said. "Now." Nancy's heart sank, but she nodded. "All right," she said calmly. "Take me to him." When she arrived at Fagin's hideout, the old man greeted her with a cold smile. "Sit down, my dear," he said, motioning to a chair. "We need to talk." Nancy sat down nervously, avoiding his gaze. "What is it?" she asked. Fagin leaned closer, his voice low and dangerous. "Tell me, Nancy, are you still loyal to us?" "Of course," Nancy replied quickly. "Why would you ask that?" Fagin studied her carefully. "Because someone helped Oliver escape. Someone who knew our plans and our secrets." Nancy felt her heart race, but she forced herself to stay calm. "I don't know anything about that," she said firmly. Bill Sikes, who had been listening, silently stepped forward. "Don't lie to us," he snarled. "You've been acting strange lately. Where were you the night of the raid?" "I was here," Nancy insisted. "Ask anyone. They'll tell you." For a moment no one spoke. Then Fagin sighed. "Very well," he said, "but if I find out you're lying—" "You won't," Nancy interrupted, her voice steady despite her fear. That night Nancy returned to her small room, trembling with anxiety. She knew she couldn't keep hiding the truth forever. Sooner or later, Bill or Fagin would discover what she had done, and when they did, she wouldn't survive. Desperate for help, Nancy decided to visit Mr. Brownlow one last time. She waited until late at night, when the streets were empty, and made her way to his house. When he opened the door, she looked at him with tears in her eyes. "Please," she whispered, "you have to protect me, or else I'm dead." Mr. Brownlow ushered her inside and listened carefully as she explained everything. "They suspect me," she said. "If I stay, they'll kill me." Mr. Brownlow frowned. "Then you must leave London," he said. "I'll help you escape to a place where they can't find you." Nancy shook her head sadly. "It's too late for that," she said. "Even if I run, they'll hunt me down. My only hope is that you keep Oliver safe. Promise me you'll do that." "I promise," Mr. Brownlow said solemnly. "But there must be something more we can do." "There isn't," Nancy replied. "Just let me say goodbye to Oliver. Please." The next morning, Mr. Brownlow brought Nancy to his home, where Oliver was waiting. When he saw her, his face lit up. "Nancy!" he exclaimed, running to hug her. "Are you all right?" Nancy forced a smile, though her eyes were full of sadness. "I'm fine, my dear," she said softly. "I just wanted to see you one last time." Oliver frowned, sensing something was wrong. "What do you mean?" he asked. Nancy knelt down so she could look him in the eye. "Listen to me, Oliver," she said. "You're safe now because of brave people like Mr. Brownlow. Never forget how lucky you are, and never stop being kind, even to those who don't deserve it." Before Oliver could ask more questions, Nancy stood up and turned to leave. "Goodbye." "My dear," she said, her voice breaking. "Take care of yourself." As she walked away, Oliver called after her, "Will I see you again?" Nancy didn't answer. She disappeared into the shadows, knowing it was the last time she would ever see him. Later that night, Bill Sikes confronted Nancy in her room. "I know what you did," he spat, grabbing her by the arm. "You helped them save Oliver." Nancy didn't deny it. "Yes, I did," she said quietly. "And I'd do it again." Bill's face twisted with rage. Without another word, he struck her violently. Nancy fell to the ground unconscious. Though she begged for mercy, Bill showed none. In his anger and fear, he took her life. When news of Nancy's death reached Mr. Brownlow, he was devastated, but not surprised. "She gave everything to protect Oliver," he said sadly. "Her courage will not be forgotten." Oliver, too, mourned Nancy's loss deeply. He had seen so much cruelty in his short life, but he also knew that kindness existed, even in the darkest places. Nancy had shown him that. As the days passed, Mr. Brownlow worked tirelessly to ensure justice for Nancy and others like her. He vowed to expose Fagin and Bill Sikes for the criminals they were. With the help of the law, their days of crime were finally numbered. But for Oliver, the journey wasn't over yet. There were still mysteries about his past waiting to be uncovered, and new challenges ahead. What secrets lay hidden in Oliver's history, and how would they shape his future?